That was pretty sad. Once again, I only watch football at a very just spectator level. I know very little about deeply rooted schemes and all that, but that was pretty sad to watch. I'm not gonna lie. That sucked.
For me,
The
it was
Eagles
kind of
are
great.
cooked.
I'm not gonna lie. It's two of my least favorite fan bases and two of the league's least favorite fan bases. So it was nice to see him take a L in the first round. And plus, like the rest of the teams that are in it are all pretty cool teams. I feel like if the Eagles were back in it, it would have been kind of lame. And if the Cowboys were in it, it would have been just like the Cowboys are gonna be like old back to dominating ways. Now you got teams like the Bucks who are a fun team to watch. You got the Packers who have a young quarterback that people were saying was not him, and he's surely proving that he is. You've got the Lions who haven't been there in a long time. You've got MVP Lamar. You've got Purdy went on to prove people wrong as a game manager. I mean, there's so much to root for, and I
CJ
don't know.
Stroud.
Yeah, I mean they're getting dropped
Uh,
off in the next round, but he has been fun to watch. But
You don't
the
think they
original
had any
question was,
chance?
who are bigger frauds?
Yeah, who are bigger frauds? Eagles or Cowboys?
I think the bigger fraud is the Cowboys. Not to say that the Packers aren't a good team; they are, and I knew that was gonna. Like I said, I did know that was gonna happen because they were on a hot streak. But for your team to win your last 16 home games, be so proud about being undefeated at home, pride yourself on not turning the ball over at home. They were exposed on both sides of the ball. The defense was exposed and the offense was exposed. Um, Micah Parsons was getting the holding calls that they always cry about, and they still lost by what would have been 30, but they brought in a backup quarterback. Um, I don't know. A lot of people were saying that the fire was not there as far as like coaching side. I know like what's his name, Jimmy Johnson, I think was I saw the people on Twitter saying that he was given a better talk than McCarthy could ever get. So we'll see what the future holds over there. But I mean, I most of America was picking the Cowboys to not only win that game, but to be in like at least
Pretty deep.
contention for the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
Um, Especially considering like after they won last week, Dak when it wasn't wearing a hat and he was like, I'm looking for something bigger. I don't care about NFC Championship or NFC East champions, whatever. And I don't know. The chemistry just did not seem there. When things went wrong, like early, it looked like immediately they had already given up.
That's fair. I don't. I I want to lean the Cowboys, but then with the Cowboys, I'm just like, it's every year it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And with the Eagles, it's kind of like the same concept, but more in this season, where the Eagles started off, 10-1, and then they go 1-6 in their last seven. And I guess you can say like, well, you saw 7 games, they lost 6 of them.
Right.
Like, why did you expect them to? But it's something about like not only that even with AJ Brown out, I feel like they still had a better personnel group than the Bucks. I think the Bucks are a good team, but not a great team. Um, I don't know. I feel like the Eagles kind of there's so many like rumors and so much stuff coming about. They just felt like dysfunctional, and the reason I'm calling them frauds is because like they were this team that was hyped up to be. They should get back to where at least the NFC Championship again at the beginning of the year. Throughout most of the season, that was a thing, and then they just like crumbled. It was almost like as soon as they like were top of the league, literally the pressure just like it was too much for them. I mean, at this point, they're probably gonna have to get a new offensive coordinator, a
Yeah.
new defensive coordinator, and they might have to get a new head coach.
Head coach is
And
a
they
little
were just
too like from what people are saying, I know that people want Sirianni gone, but you really can't blame that much on him. I feel like, I mean, there's some of the blame, but for like an offensive coordinator not to understand how to pick up a blitz on third down is pretty crazy. I mean, the Bucks were blitzing like 8 every third down, and they knew it was coming, and they still just could not find a way to scheme to get the ball past that first down marker. And then for Patricia, we've seen this in other teams before. He's just not built for big games. I know when he was on the Patriots, he was a good coordinator, but when he went to the Lions, I mean, that team just did not care about him at all. And I mean, there's been other teams he's been on. When he was our offensive coordinator, we had one of the worst offenses in the league. I know we still do, but I mean, I don't know. That's the mark that he leaves on teams is pretty apparent.
that's I don't know. I feel like that's fair, but when I think of especially NFL head coach, I think of more as instead of you're calling plays, I feel like your job is more so to be just you're the glue. You're telling your offensive coordinator, call these type of plays. This is the kind of, attack I want us to take. And you're telling defense, like, same thing. Like, this is the energy I want us to bring. And there are so many reports coming out of saying, like, on both sides, they didn't know who was calling the plays because sometimes it would be Nick Sirianni, sometimes it would be the coordinator. And then you're trying to, they're trying to play a brand of football that's the identity, of course, will go with the coach who designed it. But then you don't even know who, like, the identity is because there's no, like, clear or like pecking order. Or if it is, it's just Nick Sirianni. And if that's the case, then I feel like Nick Sirianni is the most to blame if that's the case. But, I mean, even then, like, their wide receivers were, like, not getting as, like, many touches. I feel like they were just, like, targeting, like, Deontay Smith, which was good because he was hooping. But then, I don't know. I feel like when the Bucs were giving them over the top, they weren't taking it. And then they weren't running, which they're really good at. There was a lot of things here where just they're frauds because they had the capability to destroy the Bucs and didn't at all. Where I feel like more so with the Green Bay game, it was more like team got scared, pissed their pants, and the other team just showed up for the moment. Whereas this is kind of just like this team was just never suited to ever get here, bro. Like they shouldn't have even been in the playoffs if they ever gonna play like this. Somebody like the Seahawks probably deserved to get in over them.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know, Vic. You gotta. Who do you think is the bigger fraud out of the Cowboys and the Eagles?
I mean, I remember the Eagles at the beginning of the season had a whole lot of hype around them, right? And they looked pretty good. And I mean, I didn't watch the Cowboys game to be honest, but I don't know, dude. The Eagles went out sad. I think just the literal perspective of never being in that game was crazy. Like from the very first set of plays, like the first couple of drives in that game, you could tell the Eagles were already feeling like they were out of it. I mean, Jhyrah, we were watching that game together and we were both like, I think this feels a lot worse than it appears. But then the Eagles already felt like that, which says a lot. Like if you're supposed to be a winning team, if you're already letting the first couple of drives get to your head, how are you ever going to get to the Super Bowl again? So I don't know. To me, that's a big sign of when a team isn't really all together. And I get that the Eagles also did have like a really bad skid at the end of the season, but good teams are supposed to be able to overcome that, and clearly they were not able to. So that's just my opinion. But once again, I think I just saw more Eagles like games than I did Cowboys.
Fair.
But you could also argue that that entire Eagles team had been there before as well, just that last year.
Yeah,
and the Cowboys had never been there.
Yeah, that's another pretty absurd aspect to think about.
Like I know they had no AJ Brown or Reed Blankenship, which are arguably two of their biggest stars. But again, I don't know. What Jhyrah, what you said last week perfectly sums it up. If you play bad, they will beat you, and the Eagles play bad, and they got beat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think when you get a result like this, the only thing you can do, especially when you know your team can win, is to make a change. Because I think the run it back would just be like, I mean, it's insanity. The definition of doing something over and over again and thinking something's going to change.
Yeah, right.
So some change has to happen. I don't know what that is. I don't really know. Like, I feel the Cowboys, of course, they need to change, but I don't even know if it's like personnel-wise. I think it's just more so like a mentality. Like from the Eagles, it's almost like everything needs to be fixed. Their mentality, like they were like out there arm tackling, it's like their play calling.
Yeah, Bradbury's got to go.
Yeah, I don't know. It was tough to watch. At least with the Cowboys, I'm like they're trying. They're getting interceptions and like because they're trying to make something happen. The Eagles are kind of just getting down in fetal position from the beginning. But moving on from those frauds and their I don't their amalgamation of problems they have going on over there. The Lions got their first playoff win in 32 years, which is insane to think about. Like that's crazy. But they got over the Rams, and more importantly, they also got over their former quarterback,
Right.
which I think is crazy.
And they used the other team's former quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I wonder how many times that has happened where like two teams have traded for a quarterback, and then those teams played each other, like they swapped quarterbacks and then played each other in the playoffs.
I can't name the last time.
Yeah, no.
I wouldn't say Jared Goff is better than Matthew Stafford because of this, but me personally, I've always been a Jared Goff
Apologist.
fan, and I'm happy to see him win because so many times people said he's not a quarterback who can get it done when your team needs it. He's a game manager, blah 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 blah. Bro was up there having a great game. I wouldn't say they won necessarily because of him, but he definitely was a part of the reason why they won. The Rams also played good. It was a good game back and forth. The Rams made a little bit of running back at the end. But I don't know if I see this Lions team making it to the Super Bowl this year, especially with, knowing that the 49ers are still out there looming somewhere in the shadows. But I think they're a team that when their energy is high, they're just as good as everyone. And I don't see why they can't ride the mental high of this win next week to playing Tampa Bay.
I don't know. I'm not really sure what to predict for these upcoming games. So it feels like a lot of teams are due. I don't know. And I feel like at this point, I know I'm jumping all around all different kinds of games, but I think you'd be crazy right now to bet against CJ Stroud. I know it's against the Ravens, but he's been counted out so many games. And I said this at the beginning of the season that this Texans team was good. I don't think anyone thought they'd be anywhere close to this good. I thought they would just be a little wild card contender. But this is a legit football team that will come out, and part of what makes them so dangerous is you can go down on this long drive and score, and Stroud will just throw a 75-yard bomb, and it'll immediately take away all that momentum.
Yeah. I think this game will be a very defining game for a lot of people. This could either be the game that it finally hushes all the doubters, or at least leads to that for Lamar, kind of how Giannis's first championship was, or his own championship was, where it's before then everyone always said, yeah, Giannis is a great player, but he can't, win it all. And then he went out there and won it all, and then it's kind of okay, what can you say about it now? It's almost done everything.
Yeah.
So I think this could be that moment for Lamar. But then on the flip side, this could also be CJ Stroud's moment of, you see how good that guy is over there, who I'm gonna have to play against Lamar. Well, I'm just that much better. And I don't know. I mean, especially in the AFC, when you think about the matchups that there are right now, I mean, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, a classic rivalry. Then you have CJ Stroud and Lamar. The AFC is literally just whoever wins, you're getting cream of the crop talent and team, and maybe the Chiefs don't have the best talent, but it's the Chiefs at the end of the day. It's kind of like a Tom Brady team or a LeBron team when he was in the East. When you just have this player, for some reason, when everything would tell you there's no reason they should be this far, they still somehow make it that far. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think this weekend could end with a lot of people very surprised. I mean, I'm still taking the favorites in every single game, but I don't know.